Good morning, everybody. Lovely to see some familiar faces. Lovely to see you. Hey, Jamie. Hey, Miriam. Hey, Deborah. Hey there, Gillian. Lovely. Long time no see. Deborah, lovely to see you as always. The good news is with this is you can choose to be on camera or not choose to be on camera. It is going to be a webinar format, so it's going to be lots of me speaking. I can, 1 second. I can hear my YouTube, which is also speaking. 1 second. Let me just turn that down. There we go. Cool. Technical things. There's Devin joining us. So I'm going to kick off. We should be here just under an hour. And today is all about literally how to monetize LinkedIn for speaking opportunities. And it really doesn't matter where you are on this journey. Hi, Devin. Lovely to see you. It's all about really understanding how LinkedIn is a gold mine when it comes to getting paid speaking opportunities, getting speaking opportunities as well. You're very well, if you want to type in the chat who you are, what you do, why you do it, obviously in a short version versus your big why, please feel free, obviously, because I want you to interact and network. There might be someone going, oh yeah, let me connect with that person. Let me connect with that person. I need to connect with that person. Right. So, and I will get going from here. I'm going to just pull up the slides. Feel free to put questions in the chat. I'll circle back to them. So don't worry if I haven't quite got back to them, but do put them in the chat. I want to give you as much information as possible so you can go out there, get yourselves booked. I got muted by my team member. Thanks, Regina, for muting me, mid-sentence. But if you have any questions as well, Regina's there, so she's here to support and help in any way possible. Right, let's get going. Hey, John, lovely to see you. I don't think I've seen you since the pandemic. It's nice to see you back on a call. So let's get going with the slides and with this webinar and options, please put them in the chat and I will circle back to them. So this is all about the 7 steps to monetizing your LinkedIn to land high speaking opportunity, high paying speaking opportunities. And so you're saying hello in the chat box. So just say hello, where you're from, what you do and where you do it, because there's a real diversity of people in this room. I know there's a real range of people. So it'll be good for you to connect with each other. Feel free to put your LinkedIn in there as well. So just remind people that despite uncertainty, that this is a real important time to go out there and understand how to use LinkedIn as a bit of a gold mine to find speaking opportunities. But also this is really a great time to speak, to connect and to serve, okay? Because there's a lot of people out there that need guidance, need support, need mentorship, coaching, knowledge, need implementation, whatever field you might be in. There's definitely a community out there that wants and needs what you have to offer as well. Now, what I see a lot, having worked with a variety of speakers at various levels, people who are experts that speak, is they're often very good experts and they're very good with the information they hold, but very few actually have the impact they want and need to truly go out there and be an authority or be elevated into an authority. So I'll be interested to see what is your biggest challenge when it comes to using LinkedIn or speaking, if you just want to type 1 or 2 sentences, because I'm a bit nosy like that. But I'd love to know what it is for you currently in the journey you're in. Let me have a look as I can see the chat. So I'll say hello to everybody that's saying hello. So, hey, Deborah. Hello, Gillian. Hello, Devin. Harrogate. Yay, up north. Yes, Deborah, you're working with me. Woohoo. Jamie, there we are. Oh, he's giving his phone number. Hey, be careful. You might get hunted down. Hi, Richard. Wellbeing life coach. Back at work after mental health. Oh, well, I'm glad to see you back on it. Positive mental health, fantastic in the workplace. Stay in conversation. Hi, Liz. Lovely to see you. I love the muddy archaeologist. Morning. And there's Ruth there as well. Perfect. So let's keep going. And there's Miriam. Oh, yeah, you were at Queens. Lovely to see you. Oh, trying LinkedIn for lots of different aspects of my business. Think often I get things confused between those strands. I want to speak on how survival psychologist, Tony Brooks. Fantastic. psychology. Okay, keep them going. We'll keep coming back to the challenges. But, you know, when it comes to the various people we work with, entrepreneurs, business owners, agencies, whatever it might be, we find there's some common challenges they all have in mind. And this is what we tend to find when we work with them, regardless of the level they're up. Some very, very experienced, some very established business owners I work with, some very established experts. But these are some of the problems that or challenges they have when it comes down to it. It's the need to adapt and be current. It is getting booked and getting paid. It is around getting sales when they speak, or continuation of work, struggling with the noise, no conversions, unclear brand message, etc., etc. So really what I want to show you today is how you can use LinkedIn to address some of those. And the way I ended up here is, for those of you who do or don't know the story of how I ended up doing what I'm doing today, I've done it for over a decade, is in short, I ran two businesses previous to this. One was a coaching business, which is where I met Tony, who's on the call here, and we're speaking to after this call or this Zoom webinar, whatever we call it. And then I ran a strategy business, and I'd always run Speaker Express. And that happened at the time with my business partner, Anik, to offer speakers a safe space to grow, to learn, to train, and of course, to get booked, get paid. 2018, I suffered mental health issues that lasted 8 months. And through that period, I worked with someone who was a spiritual healer. And what transpired was that I wasn't truly on purpose. I wasn't really living my purpose. Although I was living bits of it, I was building businesses that I thought I should build versus the ones that really truly in line with my big why in life. So in 2018, I moved into Speaker Express full time, overcame my depression. You'll be happy to know, still here, still kicking. Haven't had much of it since, although the pandemic surely tested a lot of us in that respect. So I came through that, and since then I've raised investment for Speaker Express. I'm building a group of companies, which is far more aligned with my why, which is helping people use their voice for good. That's literally the summary of my big why. So that's how I ended up here. So I co-founded Speaker Express over a decade ago. I've written 6 books, and I've got a podcast, the Public Speaking Expert Podcast, which you can watch on LinkedIn every Monday at 2 p.m. And I'm an accredited virtual speaker. Right. Last year was quite a significant year for us in terms of winning awards, in terms of visibility, in terms of really outreach and getting that kudos, including becoming one of the top 5% content creators on Riverside. And the reason I put that in that, because I actually asked them, what does that even mean? And that means I'm creating the same amount of content of Guy Raz, of Tim Ferriss and Jay Shetty. I just don't quite have the numbers to match them yet, but that's really nice. And a lot of this, by the way, is because of what I'm going to teach you today. So there's a reason why that's in there. It's not about me going, look at me, I won these awards. They're nice, but it's because of what I'm training you today. And we work with a variety of business owners and entrepreneurs and speakers, to getting on TV, to pitch on Dragon's Den or MasterChef professionals, or tech space, recruitment space, creative space, coaches, trainers, speakers. We work with a real variety. So Maria here is she works with head teachers, and recently what we showed her was how to utilize LinkedIn to maximize opportunity, but also how to deliver a talk that won her business as well. And that's part of it. And again, someone that we work with, Ed, who runs a company called Strive, which is a recruitment platform, using some of the tools I'm going to show you today, is really what helped him get investment, win business, win expert positioning as well. So everything we have here is about that. So the first step I want to talk about, right, when it comes to LinkedIn, this is key. Now, some of you might have heard me say this, or when it comes to some of the content, I often talk about being a 50% speaker, right? And what does that mean? A lot of people go out there and they invest in their speaking, rightly so. Being a great speaker is important, but that's 50% of today's modern speaker. The output of your content, or the content you need to output, needs to equal and add to your ability to get booked. So that's why one of the key changing points for me, I went for a run during the pandemic. I run a lot. And I came back and I stopped thinking myself as a training company. And I started to think of myself, or the business, as a content production company that offers training. And since then, we massively elevated the content production Obviously, the content production is about reaching the right target people, right? And the key is with that is if you're not putting the content out there that's going to help the decision makers, the community owners, the conference organizers to help check you out more, then you're missing 50% of what is needed to get those high paying speaking opportunities. So there's a variety of LinkedIn posts you can do, obviously long form, short form, image, video. I don't need to tell you all about that. But what is imperative for you to land those high paid speaking gigs is to be consistent, but put the content that's likely to get you booked and paid. Remember, if you're an expert that speaks, if you're a speaker, what's important is people see you speaking. And one of the great things when it comes to LinkedIn is people do check you out. They'll look at your profile. And if they can see a profile that is content heavy with the right information, you're more likely to land the speaking opportunities. And it goes beyond just your title at the top going, paid speaker, expert speaker, professional speaker. You've got to have the content that's going to pique curiosity, right? And just remember, that content needs to cater to two audiences: the conference and event organizers and the community holders, right? So the influencers or the people that have communities. So you need a variety of content that will appeal to both. This is really, really important if you want those high paid speaking gigs. Well, I was talking to a coach a couple of days ago, and she's a performance coach, and she's a very good one. When we looked at her LinkedIn, it wasn't showing off how she was different, how good she was, why she should be booked because of her ability. And that's the thing. So you just blend into being another ... unless your content differentiates you and is more giraffe. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, it just means standing above the rest, sticking your neck out, being different in many ways. So please remember that, right? The other thing to remember when you are producing content to the two communities is what keeps your audience up at night, which is what your expert speaking is all about, right? So again, it's churning out the content that will go, yes, that's the kind of stuff I want to put in front of my audience. That's the kind of content that I want to book this person for to talk about. So I really want you to reevaluate or really think about your content. Now, again, does it have to be every single day on LinkedIn? It doesn't. Okay. LinkedIn is very different from the other platforms. Whatever it is, it has to be consistent. Has to be consistent. Whether it's 3 times a week, then it's 3 times a week consistently. Whether it's 4 times a week, it's 4 times a week consistently, right? Whatever you choose, it has to be consistent. So we post every day, but that's the choice we made, right? You don't have to do that, but whatever you choose, make it consistent. Okay. The next part I want to talk about is, does your page, right? When people land on LinkedIn, does it scream expert speaker? So the content's a big part of that, but also how you set up the page, the images you use, the banner you use, right? What you curate, what you put in your featured content, your bio, which we'll come to in a bit. That's all part of what's going to help you get those high speaking opportunities, because it screams, I am an expert speaker. I am a paid speaker. That's what's really important. So videos are important, of course, but any articles, any publications, any media stuff you've got, put it on there. Now, I know we live in Britain, and some people in Britain have an issue with showing off, right? And I'm not saying show off. Don't be arrogant. Oh my God, look at me. I'm so amazing. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying to the person that doesn't know you or doesn't know you well enough, right? They need to understand why they would put you on stage, why they would pay 10, 20,000 pounds to put you on stage. And a big part of it is your profile screaming, you are worth it. And I don't mean the L'Oreal advert, although we can use that if we really want, right? That's the key when it comes down to your LinkedIn. It's got to scream paid speaker. It's got to scream expert speaker. And that's a massive. So some of you might need to tweak that. That's okay. But this is why we're doing this today. And obviously it's 2023 and I want to set you up to win with LinkedIn, right? So the other part of what I call page packing is, does it reflect your fee? The images, the type of content we've just talked about. It's got to reflect your fee. And you can land, right? Some of you can land on websites and you know that person's not invested or really invested. With your page on LinkedIn, the same. The type of images, do they use slightly pixelated images? Does it look like they can't be bothered? Remember, I'll come to this at the end and I'll tell you an interesting story, but you're always selling, right? And if you want the high paid speaking gigs, then the page has to sell you in the same way that your one pager will or your website does. And I'll talk about consistently across all of them. But again, I want you to really think about that. When it comes, does it reflect your fee? Now, I know some people are just starting out on this call because I know you. It's got to reflect the fee you want if you haven't had paid yet. Please remember. Now, I know some of you like, but I want £10,000. Great. Then you've got to build a £10,000 looking page. Now, you might not get £10,000 straight away. You might get £1,000 and you build up to it. But please remember that everything matters and everything counts these days. And someone we managed to really change around his fortunes was Juan. And Juan came to us a couple of years ago now, and he was just out of the military. He was this really skillful person. You know, he's one of these guys that you could probably snap your neck and you wouldn't notice. He was that skillful. Like, he drives tanks, he flies, like helicopters. He's like, wow, one of these guys, like an A-team all in one. Right? For those of you who remember the A-team, for some younger people, that might be a reference you don't quite get. But anyway, what was really fascinating about Juan is when he spoke and what he put out there on social media and LinkedIn reflected him coming out the army. He sounded militant. He's used to commanding 4,000 people. So he spoke like that as well. So when we kind of really showed him the differentiation of the kind of content you put out there, but also what things need to look like, and of course worked on his delivery and softened him, that's when he got the interest he was looking for. That's when he got the corporate gigs he was looking for. And that's when he actually got hired to be the manager for the Steel Warrior project, which is where they melt knives from the streets and they build gyms from it. And that happened because we changed the look and the feel. And of course, we worked on him as a speaker as well. So that's Juan, and he's booming. When it comes down to titles, this is, of course, suggestive. You can be like, no, but this is what I want to be. Please stop using public speaker, motivational speaker, inspirational speaker. You know, a big part of that is it's a given, right? Like, it's not going to help me book you, for example, Jamie or Tony or Gillian, if it just says public speaker, because you're not telling me where I would fit you. What would I put you in? Or motivational. I'm going to assume you're going to motivate my community, my audience. I'm going to assume you're going to be inspiring, right? Expert speaker is a far better book, or, you know, expert speaker on or speaker on this topic. But if you're just using what everyone else is using, you fall into the plethora of people who are calling themselves inspirational speakers. And then you're showing up next to Les Brown and Tony Robbins and all these other big names. And that's probably not even who you're seeking to go after, if I'm not mistaken, right? So please use the title that reflects the speaker that you are. Okay, this is really important. I mean, most people on this call, from what I can see, I would highly suggest that you call yourself an expert speaker on ... That, take that. If you take nothing else from this, take that, right? You know, expert speaker on building networks. I mean, Jamie, I know you do more than that, right? So, but just so people land, they look, they go, oh, yes, that's what I'm looking for. Oh, that sounds interesting. Let me check him out. Let me look at his profile. Let me look at his assets. Or hers, okay? Or they, right? Boom, 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 boom. Versus, oh, public speaker. And also, by the way, public speaker says unpaid. Just so you know, that's what you're telling the potential booker, that you speak, but you don't really want to be paid. Okay? So let's keep that in mind as well. And of course, speaker. Speaker doesn't tell me anything. It's like saying, human, person, right? That's what that's telling us. So just doesn't tell because remember, LinkedIn, your speaker website, your one pager, your bio is all about, it's for the booker, not for you. Keep that in mind. Next part. Now, for those of you who are a beginning journey, use this as a tick list. Oh, I need a bio. I need to do this. I need to do this. For those of you who have it, because I know there's some very experienced speakers on here, right? use this as a kind of, okay, I need to go back to this. Does your bio key sell you as a speaker and your fee? So a lot of people will put in their bio the feel-good stuff to the top, right? Written 6 book, 10,000 hours of speaking, been on BBC, like all that's the nice to know stuff. You feel good reading that, but the booker, the person that might book you, it means nothing to. What you want to put to the top is why you. What do you bring to the table? What's in it for the audience? What are the takeaways? Then you put the nice to feel stuff at the bottom. Most people have it back to front, right? So again, if you take nothing else away from this today, take that with you. Because too many people write the bios that they like reading, not the bio that's going to sell them. All right. So keep that in mind, please. So this is what I mean. And again, LinkedIn, your LinkedIn bio, is the same. So if you go into my LinkedIn bio, it's my speaker bio. And then I have another bio, which is my trainer bio. But keep that in mind. So why you, what's in it for them, the key takeaways, everything that's going to bring that potential person who's going to book you and pay you handsomely to a yes. Give me a thumbs up if we're good. Give me a Y in the chat that you're with me still. Hey, Sabine, lovely to see you. It's been a while. Yes, give me a thumbs up. I just want to make sure that you're with me and all that. And I'm not just chatting away and people are like, well, I hope not anyway. That's never happened before, by the way. No one's going, not to my knowledge anyway. Cool. You're still with me again. Thumbs up there, getting all that. Woohoo. Awesome. Hopefully you'll have some light bulb moments here as well. So this is what mine looks like. We've recently updated it because obviously there's a lot more to me and what I do since this was written, but it's the important stuff to the top and the fluffy stuff at the bottom. In fact, there's no fluffy stuff. Or it's not fluffy, but it's the nice to know stuff. So I'm not disregarding my 6 books and my 10,000 hours. That's nice for speakers. Speakers need to know that you've done 10,000 hours. A booker doesn't. A booker needs to know that you're going to deliver, right? So just keep that in mind. Review your bio. Harsh question, is it selling you in the right way? Right. So again, John, who I've worked with, they're a creative agency. Excuse me. So they basically specialize in putting products on shelves and catching your eyes. That's their expertise. So for them, again, it was all about how they position themselves, how they put themselves out there. So it appealed to the right communities to book them so they could actually promote their services. That's what we worked with them on, and speaking to sell, not keynote speaking. But once they tweaked their positioning, then they got the right gigs. They got the right gigs, which meant they had the right audience. The right audience meant people wanting to buy from them at the end. So this all really does matter, down to the bio, down to the LinkedIn, down to everything that we talked about here as well. Right? So what I would love you to do is stop, right? Stop right now. Thank you very much. Right? You can see why I'm a speaker, not a singer. Stop using images or start using images that show you speaking, right? I'm a speaker, and because we get approached for our gig getter services or for, I'm a speaker. Great. I'll check them out. There's nothing that shows that they're a speaker. So start putting images of you speaking. Stop sounding generic. I'm a this, I'm a like public speaker, motivational speaker. All of these things are just that you just sound like everyone else. You're certainly not being more giraffe, right? And while I know a lot of you, especially on this call, you do a variety of things. So the content you put out there is probably a mixture for your business and your services. I get that, right? But when you do put stuff that's speaker related, make sure it's the content that's going to attract the potential person to find out more, going to book, going to check you out. If it sounds the same and it reads the same, then it is the same. And then you'll lose the potential speaking opportunity. It's when I talk about self-indulgent posts, especially if you're on the high speaking opportunities, I learned this a little bit the hard way a few years ago. There's a difference between honest and vulnerable and being inspirational with a vulnerable post versus a pull me post or self-indulgent post, right? So a lot of us, it's not for me to tell you how to express yourself, but be aware that everything matters. And I've seen this. In fact, 2 years ago, I was talking to this woman that wanted to book one of the people we're working with. and it was all ready to go. And then she came back, I think it was a week later, and said, no, I'm not interested in that person because I've just read her social media post and it's nothing but self-indulgent. And it just put me off her, right? So again, we are talking about LinkedIn, and I'm not saying that we can't express ourselves, and because I've talked about my depression, I've talked about stuff on there. But when I write them, I like to think that there's something that's going to add value, that's going to help. So just keep that in mind, okay? The other thing is about being consistent. So don't be inconsistent. Don't show up 5 days, 1 week and disappear for 3. People see that. And make it easy for people to book and inquire, ask questions. If you're going to use LinkedIn, be responsive, right? Someone reaches out on your DMs, respond. Don't wait 7 days, 5 days. And I know this is really obvious, but you'll be surprised, okay? So whatever relates to you, if you're on there, just make sure you're responsive, you're easy. They can click somewhere, they can find your email or your phone number. Again, it's up to you, the choices you want to make, but just please make sure, stop doing what doesn't work. And being elusive and unresponsive because, you know, you're hoping that they're going to knock down your door with a suitcase full of cash, just doesn't work. They'll just move on. That's it. You know, last week we were... an agency reached out to me. They wanted to add me on my books. Within that day, I'd responded with everything that I needed. We talked fee structure, we talked fee conditions, and boom, I was on their book by the end of last week. You got to be quick because they'll just move on. That's it. There's always someone to take your place, period. As special and unique as we are, there's someone there. So very quickly, I just want to tell you about our our alert service that we offer. I know some of you are on this already, that we are offering, and then we'll carry on with the webinar. But basically what we've put together is a almost daily alert service that while you guys use LinkedIn to find you people are using LinkedIn to find your speaking opportunities, we search the web for you and email you speaking opportunities on a regular basis. So every single day, Monday to Thursday, 4 to 5 different speaking opportunities. Then on a Friday, we send you a summary of all the speaking opportunities we found, and you get to apply. So we email them to you and you apply. That's simple. The way it works is you'll sign up, we email them to you, you apply, you get booked. And if you need any support, you drop us an email and we'll help you do it. It's really as simple as it is. This is for people that want more speaking opportunities, don't have the time to look, and of course want to be more authority in their space. So it's $9.99 a month plus VAT, or $97 for the year plus VAT. You know, it's a variety: leadership, personal development, HR, customer services, sales. So you get a real variety. And that's all it is. And there's no commitment. If you're on the $9.99 a month, you can do a month and you can just send us an email, no questions asked. And that's where you can choose where to speak. Now, again, this isn't LinkedIn. This is just general alert services. And then you get booked. So again, this is for you've got something to say, you want more sales, you want more bookings, you want to be the go-to expert, and of course, if you want to have an impact on your industry. So it's $9.99 a month or $97. And of course, if you do sign up today, then we'll have a 30-minute consultation where I'll give you as much advice and support of how to maximize the service and how to do as much as you can. So once you sign up, you can email to book a 30-minute consultation with me. Let's have that chat. Let me help you get booked more. Ask me as much as you want. Yeah. So as long as you book today, we can do that. There's a QR code which you can scan, or the link is being shared in the chat as we speak. $9.99 a month or $97 for the year. Join us. I know Ruth is on it. I think Tony, you're on it. So there's a few of you here on it in your inbox. Now, I know we are trying to get better and refine it. Just bear with us when it comes down to, some people just want the weekly email. We're working on that. Bear with us, right? In that respect. But yeah, let's have that chat. Let's have that conversation and go from there. And if you're really unsure if it's for you, just book a call in with me and we can have a chat about it. Okay. Should we keep going? Let me just check what's in the chat box. Great. So, oh, there we go. It's great service. Give me what types of opportunities? Yes, please. Signed up. I'm on it. Already applied for a few. There you go. So there's people on this call already on that. Fantastic. There you go. Because a lot of people don't have the time to look for the speaking opportunities. We want to give you that time back, but we're not going to apply for you. That's a different conversation. That's over to you to do. Right. So sign up and let's have that chat. The QR code will be there throughout the webinar. So if you like, get that moment of inspiration, I'm in. Next part, of course, which people underutilize, especially when it comes to speaking, is a recommendation and testimonials. Again, some of you are like, oh, it's so obvious. It is, I know. But just think that every part of this webinar is about leading someone to say yes or to finding out more. So what I really wanted to do is break down all the components that matter, right? Are you asking for recommendations? Yeah. Oh, is we have a question? Yeah, Sherry, that works. We do international as well, by the way. So it is international. Not, I know it says on the website UK, we need to change that. You get international speaking opportunities. I think most of you will be knowledgeable enough, but let me remind you that nothing sells you more than social proof. Of course, you being a great speaker and having, right? But someone saying you're a great speaker. So have you gone back to everybody you've spoken to ever and gone, can I have a recommendation on LinkedIn? Are you screaming your testimonials enough? You know, do you share them? Again, and I know in Britain, there's this, oh, no, I can't. You know, we go to our incredible, you know, people across the seas, and a lot of them don't have an issue with that. It's not about showing off. It's about moving the needle towards a yes, and a recommendation and a testimonial will help that. So as part of your content creation, I've talked a lot about, is sharing testimonials. And for those of you starting out, share testimonials about working with you, right? Having worked with Elliot, ... having done this with Elliot, ... And then as you start to grow your speaking ones, then you get speaking ones, right? So there's always something to share. And I want you to be aware of that, okay? Because it's really important. This is a big part of your sales funnel. This is a part of you getting booked. And someone we did that and we tweaked, and everything we've talked about was Sarah. Some of you might know Sarah. She's up north in Leeds. She runs an investment property business, right? And for her, all the positioning that we've just talked about and the use of testimonial helped to land Tedx talks. It helped to land paid speaking opportunities, because the moment she finished a talk, she pretty much would ask for a testimonial or recommendation. I mean, as long as they were happy. Otherwise, it's called feedback, right? If they're unhappy, what's your feedback? If they're really happy, it's a testimonial. So she asked for that. And as a result of that, she launched her paid speaking side and things like that. She's taking a bit of a break now because she's had a second child. But it all matters. This is what I want you to understand. So who are the people you need to circle back to and ask for testimonials? The other thing, I know some of you do corporate gigs and they don't always want to reveal their name, or you can still get the managing director without their name, for example. There's ways around it that you can still get a testimonial from this company without revealing someone's name because they just don't want you to know, or something like that. What does matter with testimonials, by the way, and recommendations, two things. If they're a name, obviously their name. So if Richard Branson here gave Sabine, right, a testimonial, we would use Richard Branson, right? But otherwise, it's their title. And we choose, like when we're putting ourselves out there, it's the kind of people we want to book us is the testimonials we want to display. So I've got testimonials from schools I spoke to in America, right? But I don't necessarily use that testimonial because I'm not looking for more school bookings. So also the type of testimonials is important for the type of bookings you want. So keep that in mind. This is what my feed looks like so far.
Well, I don't know what your view is.
Hello. Yes. Speak away. Ask your question. No? Okay. Doesn't want to ask away. I'll have a look in the chat. Is it in the chat? There we go. Oh, the QR is reading. It's failing. Yes, there's a link in the thingy. Perfect. Yeah. So please, who can you go back to? Who do you need to go back to? The other thing I will say about testimonials or even recommendations is guide them what you want them to put in. This is important because if they go, you know, hey, Patience is really great. She's really good. She's so awesome. That doesn't tell me anything about booking you. Guide them. What was the key takeaway? What did the audience enjoy? And even so much so, why someone should book them. So guide your testimonials. This is really important as well. Almost there, people. I'm gliding through it today. Woohoo! Which is good for a speaker, right? Everyone know that's the typical speaker joke. I'll be as quick as I can, no matter how long it takes. Yes, that's right. I'm available for Comedy Acts too. Okay, now this is a biggie, right? Proactive outreach on LinkedIn is a goldmine. I know we all want to get to that place where people are knocking on our doors, where our DMs are full, and just let me book you, Sabine. Let me book you, Ruth. Let me book you, Veronica. Let me book you. We all want to get to that place. I hear you. Until we're at that place, it's really up to us to do the outreach. And the last week or so, some of you might even got that email, we've been doing proactive outreach. And I've been sending a very simple message going, I'm updating my diary for 2023. Is there anything we can do together? I crack a terrible joke as well, right? That's one of my things. Terrible dad jokes is my thing. People even know me for it. But what has happened from it is I've had 8 calls booked in the last week to discuss speaking opportunities, collaboration, and some people now talking about working with me. If you're not proactive with your outreach, then you're dependent on people finding you, thinking of you, and wanting you. And what we're seeing when we do this with our gig getter clients as well is when you proactively outreach, they go, oh yeah, that's on our agenda. Oh yeah, we hadn't thought of you. Let's have that conversation. So do the proactive outreach. And all you need to do is 10 or so a day. Don't end up in LinkedIn jail, okay? You know, I've done that when I've got really excited, especially when we launched the awards last year. I just hit like, I think 100 in a day, and suddenly it's like, you are not allowed in LinkedIn anymore. You are in jail. So don't do me. Don't do me, but just do a few a day. And, you know, I was working again with Haley, one of my one-to-one clients, and I said to her, because she won't, I don't know where some of you on this call, but if you're waiting for everything to be ready or everything to be finished, and I said, don't wait, because you can have the conversations in the meantime while you're preparing things, right? So this is key. Start having those conversations now. Start the proactive outreach. Now, adapt your approach according to who you're speaking to is the question there. So we have different messaging for conference event organizers. We have different messaging for speakers, right? Because I obviously reach out and connect with speakers as well. So it really does depend your own approach to being more giraffe, but don't sound like everyone else. That's key, right? I think Jamie here got that email about me reaching out, and now we're talking about things we can do together. So that's my style, but find your way of doing it. So for example, with event organizers, what we might attach is a hello video. I've attached a hello video, which worked really well for Jazz. I think is she on here? No, she's on the Gig Getters website. But, you know, we adapt things and adapt it to who you're reaching out to. If you're doing 10 a day, go 10 a day. I'm going to do 10 conference organizers. I'm going to do 10 events. I'm going to do 10 audience, 10 community influencers. And you'll be surprised at how positive people respond, as long as it's done in the right light. Yeah. So find your style, start the outreach if you're not already doing, and don't be afraid to ask for what you want. That's the other thing. I see people do outreach and it's half kind of, oh, could we maybe? No, I want to talk about potentially speaking for your company. Can we have that discussion? With the right approach, most people say yes, no, and they won't be rude. Making sense? So nurture, add value, ask. Yeah. If you're doing the right way and it's warm and you're adding value in, like me telling a dad joke seems to work, then that's my way of adding value. But then the conversation, I'll send them my show reel, my one pager, depending on where it goes, and ask. The other thing I wanted to put in there when it comes to outreach, give me a why if you use the search bar to find speaking opportunities on LinkedIn. Ish. Love that. Why ish? Yes, ish. Everyone's yes, ish. Okay. Good. Not yet. Why? Good. So, of course, the keys with the no, there's an N, there's a not yet. Okay, cool. The thing is with the search, obviously you can search per, like, let's take well-being conferences. You could look like that, right? I use the search to find people. My previous question was about what kind of people to look for. Okay, let me come to that, Tony, because I think this might answer it as well. So you can look for types of conferences. You can look for, if you know certain speakers, then you can look for them, and then you can look where they're speaking, right? So all of these the search bar. Now, the other thing to do, by the way, is if let's say I put wellbeing conferences in the search bar, then of course there's the events tab, right? So you get the events and it tells you all the events are happening or being scheduled on LinkedIn around wellbeing conferences. Then the two things you can do is obviously there's that event, you can reach out about that event, but also you can then look at the person who's organizing its profile and look where they're speaking or what other events they're doing, and then you can reach out to them. Is this making sense? Yeah. So that's what I mean. The search bar is such a gold mine. So of course you can look for events, or you could look for, you can put well-being event organizers and it will tell you who they are, right? You could put stress events or stress prevention conferences, because that's what Ruth does, right? Literally, does it take some time? It does. Can't pretend there's a quick way. I haven't quite, if anyone has like a bot that can go in, tell me about it. But, and it's just about clicking and finding. And we found a lot of clients, a lot of people from that is because, for example, I look at the events and then I look at the organizer and then I look at their website and then we'll reach out. Yeah. So in terms of people to look for, Tony, I think what you might need to do is just a bit of research. Who's the players in that space? Like who are the kind of because LinkedIn will show you who the leaders are, who the authorities are, and I would reach out to them directly. So you're in the leadership survival space, is that right? Psychological survival. So start putting those terms in, the terms that likely, and look who are the influencers in that place, who are the leaders in that space, add them, reach out, we're in the same space. I really love the work you are doing, would love to connect, and then send a message saying, look, I'm really looking to get more speaking opportunities in this space. Do you have any suggestions? Could we have a talk? Right. Let me answer that question, Tony, as well, because that's a great question. Right. All these things, that's what I would do. And then, of course, if I'm looking at an influencer or someone who's a big in your space, Tony, I would look at their profile and see where they're speaking. Then where they're speaking, I reach out to that event organizer and go, hi, I notice you have speakers like Tony at your events. I would love to be considered to one of your events. What's the process? Is this making sense to people? This is why this is a gold mine. Yes, you need to dedicate time to it. Can't pretend you don't. Right. And then what positions? So the good thing is if they have a company page, then they mostly normally list their employees. And what I would do when I'm looking at their employees, I would look at HR people. I would look at, sometimes there's a speaker liaison title, event organizer, or, you look at their title, go, they look like they're the right person. But what I would do in the outreach is actually put, are you the right person to speak to? If not, can you put me in the right direction? Right. If you're sending it to several of their colleagues, because people speak, go, just to let you know, I've also sent this to several of your colleagues, so you might have a conversation about me. Do you see what I mean? So then it's not appearing that you're pretending not to send it to lots of their colleagues. How are we doing, people? Is this helping? Give me a woohoo if you're getting value from this as well. Yeah, I'm getting thumbs up from Ruth. PAs. Yeah, PAs. Yes. The thing is with PAs, I did this whole training years ago for this company. The PA's job is to protect the big gun. So what's important with the PA is you build the relationship and you respect the PA, right? They'll know what you want. They know that you're after their boss, so to speak. So again, it's about that relationship building and respecting them for who they are versus how can I stamp over you to get to your boss, right? So just think creatively how to manage PAs. Does that make sense, Tony? And everybody on the call? So it's only 4 people have given me a woohoo. I got thumbs up from Liz as well. Makes total sense. Good. I keep saying to people, I'm not just a pretty face, but people don't believe me. It's very hard, very hard. I'm telling you. So good. Just one more step, and then we'll go from there. Cool. So number 7, I've banged on about this. 7 steps to landing high-paying speaking opportunities from LinkedIn is consistency of relevant content. Please put down your strategy. Consistency of look, right? Consistency of updates, so make sure everything's up to date. consistency of presence. That's what I mean. Don't disappear. Don't just come and go and come and go. Be consistent. Twice a week is twice a week. 3 times a week is 3 times a week. Long term. Again, I was telling this to Haley yesterday. You've got to remember that when you're posting on LinkedIn, you're posting for the future just as much as for the now, right? So accumulation of everything that's come together in the last 4 months for us as a business has been everything that I posted over the last 2 years. Of course, we want immediate response, right? But it's about posting moving forwards, right? So that's what I mean about consistency of look. So these are various platforms. Obviously, there's Twitter there's my websites. It's got to look and have the same consistent feel, right? If any way it's not consistent, then you create a cognitive distrust, even if it's tiny, and then people start to look for that. So just make sure consistency is a must with you, right? So here's the thing, right? You're always selling. Please remember this with everything, especially as a speaker. And I'll quickly tell you this very quick story, which illustrates the point you're always selling. So some of you at the awards conference, you would have heard this last year. But many years ago, I went to a speaker event and I was waiting to see the speaker for hours. There was loads of other speakers, but I went to see a particular speaker. And just before they were coming on, there was a break and I really needed a toilet. And I looked behind me and there was a long queue for this toilet, really long queue. And so I was like, I'm not going there. And I looked around the side, having done events, and there's normally a toilet near the stage. So I looked around the side, the door was open, there was a toilet. So I snuck in there and I went for a wee, and I'm standing there weeing, and behold, next to me is the speaker. And he's weeing next to me. So that's a whole different story about being uncomfortable with someone weeing next to you. But what happened as a result of that is obviously we both finished weeing, and I turn around to wash my hands, and he turned around to wash his hands, and I'm washing my hands, and I'm looking in the mirror going, hi, kind of with eyes going, hello, and he went, hello. And all he did is he flicked his hair a little to the left and to the right, and he walked out, and he didn't wash his hands. And from that moment onwards, all I could think about is he didn't wash his hands. He didn't wash his hands. So he gets on stage, and I'm thinking, didn't wash it. He's touching that microphone. Yuck, didn't wash his hands. He's touching those markers. Ooh, people going up, shaking his hand. He didn't wash his hands. My whole relationship changed, right, in that moment. So please understand, the reason I tell that story is because everything matters. And so whatever we put out there matters. I'm no by means perfect, but I'm a lot better than I've ever been to be so conscious of this. And the reason I'm saying, so please remember the P story, right? It all matters. Everything we put out there matters. And towards about you getting high paid speaking opportunities. That woman is ready to book one of my clients, but didn't because of one post she put out there, lost it. It all matters, right? I'm saying be yourself, be authentic, be congruent. I'm not asking you to change any of that, but just be aware that you're always selling and it all matters. And the other thing I want you to remember, you're not a porn star. It's not about size, okay? It's all about, you can have a smaller following, and if they're massively engaged, that's what really matters. So you might not get hundreds of likes and hundreds of comments, but people that have ended up working with me recently is because they've been watching me, they've been seeing, and some of them have never commented on anything, and then they've reached out to work with me or book me. So please remember, let go of size, let go of numbers, be consistent, produce the content that's going to get you booked, that shows you off to be the speaker you are for the fee you want, and then you're likely to get booked and get those gigs. Now, it does take time, right? But it is a marathon, not a sprint. And I think all of you know that. And someone that we managed to really bring this together on a one-to-one is Janetta. We changed her whole positioning. Some of you might know Janetta. She lost her daughter when she was younger to various circumstances, which I won't go into right now for trigger warning purposes. And with her, when we changed her whole positioning, everything we're talking about, she then got booked. She launched a national day. She gets paid to speak. She has clients. Everything matters. And if you add all the 6-7 steps that we just talked about, then you will attract those high-pay speaking gigs. It does take time. You do need to be consistent. And that's the key I want you to remember from today. So I hope you got lots of value from today. So type in your biggest learnings as we start to wrap this up. What are your biggest learnings from today in 1 or 2 sentences? Love to hear them. Consistency over frequency. Yes. Stay connected and always wash your hands. Stay consistent, always wash your hands. Be consistent. Yeah, be about there. Be consistent. Know what you want. Stay focused. You're always selling. I think all of you remember that now. It's funny because I told that story at the conference we did last year, just before the awards. And then everybody walked around all day, when they shook hands on, don't worry, I washed my hands. It became a thing. It's really funny. Thanks for the help and search. Good. And the alerts, yay. Consistency throughout platforms. The size doesn't matter. Yes, absolutely. A lot of consistency, good. The balance between vulnerable and authentic. Use more videos to let people see you speak. Absolutely. You're always selling. Create content which helps you get booked. Yes. Using LinkedIn search. Yes, good. So that wraps up. You know, for those of you who want the alerts, want to have a one-to-one with me, feel free, go for it. All you need to do is literally click on the link, sign up. It's really easy. It's $9.99 a month or $97 for the year. And then we can go from there. I hope you enjoyed this more than anything. I hope you go and get yourselves seriously booked and seriously paid. If we can help in any way, let's talk. Let's go for it. But that's it from the webinar point of view. Go out there, be seen, be heard, and always, always be more giraffe. Till the next time, people, have a great rest of the day. Loads of love. I'll stick around in case there's questions, but loads of love for people. Bye. You're all very welcome. Yes, V, you have a question? Yes, V.
Elliot, because I'm not really an active sort of poster on social media
yet,
that's right. And I want to avoid pitfalls such as the one you mentioned about posting self-indulgent content. In general terms, what one would consider to be self-indulgent? Is it the one that your audience doesn't get value or can't learn anything from what you just posted? It's just about
those are the ones I'm talking
out of
about.
your head for your own sort of
exactly pleasure. You know, for people that are just they put it out there so they get sympathy, or you know, it's not really adding value to the reader, right? So when I talk about let's say my mental health battles, I always talk about what I learned and where I came through it and things like that, versus, oh, you know, I had mental health issues and I poor me. And that's what I mean. Like the kind of poor me posts don't really bode well to sell you as a speaker, right?
And then the second aspect of it is, if it does happen that you post something like that lady or your client, did she actually get the feedback? Did she learn from it? Was she aware?
Feedback.
Was she informed that this is the mistake she made and she could learn from it, or you know, prevent that?
Yeah, I gave her that feedback. So she would learn from it, and she did change what she's posting. At one point, she did post a very open and vulnerable post about something completely different, but it was very consciously written, very carefully written in that point. So therefore, it didn't have that negative, because it wasn't self-indulgent. It was open and vulnerable. It added value and had impact. So yeah, I gave her that feedback. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Although, I think it comes with time and experience. You know, you read different posts, and then you can figure out for yourself whether this is a value post or whether this is just a self-pity post.
Yeah, remember I'm talking specifically about LinkedIn, right?
Yes.
Facebook, Instagram, much more for that, right? LinkedIn. Look, I've read plenty of posts recently, very open, very vulnerable, about people talking about their divorces or people talk about their battles. But what they do by sharing that, there's value in it by me reading it. They're not posting just how much they're, you know, how poor them. They're actually going, this is what we went through. It's really hard. I really struggled. And here I am today, and this is what I'm doing. So they're actually quite inspirational, even though they can be quite hard hitting.
I suppose a good test is when you ask, so what, that question, and if you can answer it.
Yeah, and remember, I'm talking about getting booked as a speaker. So again, if someone's talking about that and a booker is looking at them and they're going, oh my God, I'm really struggling right now, I don't know what to do. They'll go, okay, maybe I'll come back to that person later. right? Or, oh, if someone, for example, posts, oh yeah, I was late for this meeting again, and then someone's booking you or someone looking to book you would go, is this person going to show up on time to their speaking gig? Do you see what I mean? All these kind of bits matter when it comes to getting booked as a speaker. That's what I'm talking, and getting paid.
But if you put, I'm running late, but, and then kind of turn it around or see, or show how you recovered from it, or
Yeah,
perhaps
look,
there
I was
a
really
reason that
late. My car
led
broke
you to a
down.
lesson.
Yeah, my car broke down, so I flagged down another car. I run this and yeah, like if there's a story and a narrative to it, that can work really well, right? If someone goes, oh, I was late for another meeting the other day, the guy wasn't happy, and the woman wasn't happy, all you're telling me is you're not reliable, right? That's what you're telling me, that you're going to be late. So that's what I mean. Everything matters.
But you know what? As I said, I'm new to this field, and I'm thinking, why would someone want to post something like that? What is the thinking behind it? Why are you letting everyone know about things such as this?
I think,
you know,
people
without
think
any
it's
positive
being
points to it.
authentic, it's being real, and there is an element to that, and it works. You know, I'm looking at it as potentially you getting booked and highly paid, right? There is times to share those stories in certain spaces, and you know, to show something. But some people do it because, you know, they get their significance and they get their variety, and they from posting. Well, poor you can come through this, and some people thrive on that. There's no right or wrong, and that's just who they are. I mean, it's not for me
I
to.
think I'm still trying to understand psychology of social media users.
Yeah, that's a whole field in
Yeah.
itself. So yeah.
And when I become one, you know, what kind of consumer or contributor I want to be, or I can be, because I think everyone's got their limitations, and everyone wants to look at in a certain way, or come or be understood in a certain way. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's a good way to think of it, and being conscious about that's I'm only talking about LinkedIn here. I'm sure if you went to Instagram training, they'll give you a whole different story, and Facebook, very different. So just be aware of that. Cool. All right, people. So for those of you who, I mean, there's a few left signed up. Fantastic. We'll have that call. Book yourselves in. Let's talk. Tony, I'm speaking to you in exactly 3 minutes. So I'll see you on the other link. Thank you all for coming, V. I'll speak to you soon. Gillian, I'll see you soon. Tony, literally, I'm going to see you really soon. So I'll see you on the other link, and we'll go from there. Have a lovely rest of the day, people. Bye.